Since it premiered on Fox in 1999, Seth MacFarlane's Family Guy has joined the ranks of some of the most controversial shows in the history of television. The show has even been banned in a number of countries, including India, Indonesia, Taiwan, South Korea, Russia, and the list just goes on. On top of that, the countries that do broadcast the show heavily censor it, so almost every single episode has 2 or 3 different versions released. 2 broadcast versions and the uncut DVD versions. Hey guys, this is Jacob with Channel Frederator, and today we're counting down the top 8 most Family Guy moments. From jokes that got cut to the infamously banned episodes, here are some of the highlights, or lowlights depending on how you feel, from the TV show's legendary run. Number 8. The Robin Williams incident. We're kicking things off here with a bit that caused the episode Family Guy Viewer Mail number 2 to be temporarily pulled from broadcast schedules. Now, while the bit itself isn't particularly offensive, timing was everything with this incident. Because what started out as a small coincidence turned into a minor controversy and a major censoring for all of the networks that found themselves broadcasting this episode at the time. If you're familiar with the episode, then you may remember the Robin Williams-centric segment Fat Man and Robin, in which everything Peter touches turns into comedian Robin Williams. But by now, you've probably connected these dots and remembered that back in 2014, Robin Williams tragically passed away. However, the British network BBC Three found themselves in a bit of an awkward position when news of Williams' death broke just moments after a rerun of this episode had aired on their network. It was a total coincidence, and a shocking one at that. A BBC spokesperson had to make an official statement referring to the whole situation as an unseemly accident, proclaiming that all scheduled airings of that particular episode would be removed for the foreseeable future. This was just bad timing at its worst. Number 7. The JFK assassination joke. If you're a seasoned fan of the show, you might remember this one from back in the day. This joke originally aired on Fox during the very first season of Family Guy, but it has since been removed from television broadcasting. The JFK Pez dispenser joke seemed like any other knee slapper made in bad taste, but even the show's creator, Seth MacFarlane, says that he regrets airing this joke in the first place. For those of you who don't recall, the gag goes as follows. A kid walks out of a grocery store excited about his new John F. Kennedy Pez dispenser. Not a second goes by and the head of the Pez dispenser is blown off by a sniper bullet. The kid then pulls out another candy dispenser, saying that he's glad he brought his backup, a Bobby Kennedy Pez dispenser. While the irony here was worthy of a guilty chuckle, Seth MacFarlane said that this was one joke that he definitely would not do today. The joke remains on the DVD releases, but again, it was removed from most subsequent airings. Number 6. The dirtiest joke in the world. Season 8 of the show featured a crossover with the Cleveland show titled The Splendid Source, in which Peter and his friends travel to find the origin of all dirty jokes. As it turns out, they discover that dirty jokes are in fact written by some of the world's greatest geniuses like Bill Gates and Stephen Hawking, but that's neither here nor there. If you've seen the episode anywhere but the DVD release, you were only graced with the punchline of the joke and the rest remains a mystery. However, the full joke was actually featured during the episode's original premiere. But it only aired once before networks completely removed it because, censored or not, this joke is just too filthy for TV. And also, unfortunately, this video, it's full of swears, sorry. Both censored and uncensored versions of the joke can be found online, but if you watch the streaming or broadcast versions, you'll just see a clip of a monkey scratching himself before the episode ends. Number 5. Turban Cowboy. On March 17, 2013, a rather controversial episode entitled Turban Cowboy aired, in which Peter unknowingly befriends a terrorist who plans on bombing a local bridge. The episode also features an unrelated cutaway gag in which Peter brags about having won the Boston Marathon by running over the competition in his car. Not a month later, the country witnessed the horrible tragedy of the Boston Marathon bombing. The real controversy struck once YouTube users started editing footage from the episode to make it look like Family Guy had predicted the terrorist attack. Throughout all of the outrage, the episode was removed from broadcast, removed from most online streaming, and removed from Fox altogether, making this a rare case in which someone else's actions had gotten a Family Guy episode removed from broadcasting. But for those of you who missed it, the episode has since returned to most online streaming services and is still broadcast on Adult Swim. Number 4. When You Wish Upon a Weinstein. One of the earliest and most notable Family Guy controversies comes from the original unaired series finale, When You Wish Upon a Weinstein, which was originally written as the 22nd episode of Season 3, but didn't actually air until 2003 due to its offensive nature. And even then, it only premiered on Adult Swim. The episode didn't air on its original network until a year later in 2004. Although it's now currently in syndication, this episode still holds the distinguished honor of being the first ever banned banned episode of Family Guy, which many speculate may have led to the show's cancellation. It also started rumors that Seth MacFarlane and the writers of the show were anti-Semitic. And to make matters worse, there was a rather lengthy lawsuit that took place over the song I Need a Jew, as it and the episode's title are a blatant parody of the Bourne Company's Oscar-winning song When You Wish Upon a Star. You know, the one from Disney's Pinocchio? The lawsuit was worth $2 million, but after 2 years in court, the judge ruled in favor of the show, claiming that the writers had never infringed on the Bourne Company's copyright. Number 3, the Pat Tillman joke. With regards to offensive material, Family Guy has a never-ending list. Still, Seth MacFarlane claims that there is one joke that sits at the top of the entire thing. A joke so poorly timed that it never aired on the network. That joke would be the Pat Tillman cutaway, and that joke goes directly on Seth MacFarlane's list of the worst jokes of all time. If you're unfamiliar with Pat Tillman, he was a football player turned soldier who died by friendly fire in Afghanistan. Right off the bat, this is an uncomfortable setup, and you can only imagine where the Family Guy writers went with this sensitive subject. Of course, it was a cutaway involving Peter joining Pat Tillman's platoon, of which the commanding officer gives orders that Peter mistakenly repeats. The joke being that Peter's incompetence is what led to Pat Tillman's death. The network, of course, removed the joke for obvious reasons. However, Seth did eventually run into Pat Tillman's brother one day, and Seth couldn't resist the urge to tell his brother about the planned cutaway gag. And much to his surprise, his brother loved it. Sometimes in the face of tragedy, there's nothing quite as powerful as a strong sense of humor. Number 2, the 420 episode. The 420 episode of Family Guy is definitely a fan favorite of the series. That catchy pro-marijuana song can get stuck in your head for days. In fact, the elaborate song and dance number even landed Brian the coveted Stoner of the Year award from High Times magazine. It was also the first time an animated character had ever received that honor. Surprisingly, the reception for this episode was mostly positive, unless you were in Venezuela for the premiere, that is. The Venezuelan government was so completely outraged at this episode that they called for a ban on the entire series, claiming that it promoted the use of cannabis to the public. All the local stations were then threatened with financial sanctions should they decide to broadcast the episode anyway. Now that is some serious censoring. To add insult to injury, public service announcements were also made that used images of Brian and Stewie to illustrate how Americans supported the use of cannabis and other illegal substances. Really, Venezuela? I thought we were friends. Wait, are we friends? I don't know anything about politics. Number 1, the banned episode. The other banned episode. Our number 1 spot has to go to the only episode that has been completely banned from US airing indefinitely apart from the DVD release. This episode is so highly controversial that you can't even stream it on most streaming services based in America, with Netflix being the only exception. It's called Partial Terms of Endearment, and it's about Lois's failed attempts at being a surrogate mother, leading to her getting an abortion. This episode was so frowned upon that the only way they could officially air this episode to the public was by way of live performance. So on August 12th of 2009 at the Ricardo Montalban Theater in downtown Hollywood, the principal cast of Family Guy along with a 16-piece orchestra gathered to perform a live read of what is now known as the most controversial episode of Family Guy ever. Apparently, there were enough gasps in the live audience to prove that the networks made the right choice in denying the episode. It definitely really wasn't TV friendly. At least, not in this country anyway. The episode did air on June 6th of 2010 in the UK, but the States wouldn't see it until the DVD release that following September. Once again, I'm Jacob, and I'm pretty sure that these lights have given me a sunburn. Thanks for watching our top 8 censored Family Guy moments. Did we miss any? Comment below and let us know. And don't forget to click the little bell icon next to the subscribe button to become part of our notification squad. We have new videos dropping every day, so make sure you subscribe to Channel Frederator, your cartoon central on the internet.